Hey, Bitcoiners, surprise. Want to have a little talk with you. Okay. Let's have a little talk. All right. I think it's time for a quick, succinct talk about Bitcoin and what I see going forward here. I don't think it's any surprise to anyone that the sentiment around Bitcoin's price activity is lower than I've ever seen. And I'm in Bitcoin almost 6 years. Things are more bearish as far as sentiment is concerned than where we were at the bottom of the FTX collapse at the end of 2022. Right. So it's really quite interesting to me. As most of you know, Bitcoin has sniffed out some overall broad-based worldwide global weakness and is down quite hard today. But here's what I am sort of advising my Bitcoiners to do. I believe that we are right now experiencing what could be the last bout of weakness for the entire year of 2026. I believe that gold, which has been on a tear, tops this quarter, first quarter of 2026. I believe that silver tops even harder this quarter, first quarter of 2026, if they have not topped already. I also believe that simultaneously, gold bottoms this quarter, and what we're experiencing is the last bout of weakness before the bottom of 2026 is put in. Now, I'm not saying we're at the bottom now. What I am saying is that I believe very strongly that Bitcoin's bottom gets put in this quarter, first quarter of 2026. Now, what I believe that this bottom will set up is potentially one of the most bullish runs into and throughout the second quarter of 2026, one of the largest or the biggest runs we've seen in a very long time. I believe that the snapback is going to be violent. It is going to be unmistakable. And I believe that it's going to shock the world. This is what I believe that Bitcoin is setting itself up for. Now, we've got a number of headwinds that are leading into this narrative as well. We know that lowering of interest rates is not going to happen anytime soon, but I believe that the odds are quite high for an interest rate cut and multiple cuts starting from June of 2026 when the new Federal Reserve chairman is in place. I believe that all the stars and the planets are aligning for the end of 2026 to be a roaring, everything new high market. I mean, virtually everything except the metals. I believe that the metals, silver and gold and several other things, obviously, have sort of led the charge. They historically do lead the charge. I believe that their charge is coming to an end. I believe that the baton, as far as scarcity items, is going to be passed to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is going to remind the world why it has always been considered the fastest horse in the race. I believe that much of what should have happened or what should have happened historically for Bitcoin in 2025 will happen toward the latter part of 2026. And I believe it starts this quarter by Bitcoin bottoming. All right. Now, this is not a promise. This is just my take on how I see things. And all the stars and the planets seem to be aligning for that particular timing. So if I'm right now, you're experiencing your very last opportunity to get cheap Satoshis before the blast off. That is my view. Of course, almost all of us was wrong. We're wrong about 2025. But I believe that 2026 is going to prove that we were not necessarily wrong on our bullish take for 2025, but simply delayed. All right. And in financial markets, if you understand them the way I do, you know that anything that ultimately gets delayed ultimately becomes more bullish than if the delay did not happen. So I'm truly looking forward to a spectacular 2026, with the bottom of 2026 being put in sometime this first quarter. All right. So save this post if you want to. All right. Hold me to it. I'm not making any promises. I'm just basically sharing the view that I'm sharing with my Bitcoiners. All right, guys, you know what to do. Continue to stack harder. And remember, ownership trumps price. Price is one of the number one ways that the masses have always been duped out of generational wealth. All right. While we focus on price for obvious reasons, it is not more important than the ownership of scarcity and freedom. Bitcoin represents both. All right. It is the ultimate scarce asset, and it represents personal freedom. There is no price that you can put on freedom. So don't let price trick you out of ownership. All right. Ownership is the key. Whether I'm right or wrong, you continue to focus on ownership. All right. Ownership trumps price, and price eventually catches up. The truth, scarcity, and freedom. All right, guys. Stack harder. Ciao for now. Boom.